There is a question that has haunted me for most of my life. If success leaves clues, if the principles of wealth have been known for centuries, why do 95 out of every 100 people retire with almost nothing? I have spent decades studying this. I have sat across from the wealthiest men and women of an entire generation. I have examined their habits, their thinking, their private decisions. And I have also studied the other side. The men and women who worked just as hard, who wanted success just as badly, who spent their entire lives in honest labor and still ended up dependent on others or barely surviving. The answer is not what most people expect. It has nothing to do with intelligence, nothing to do with formal education, nothing to do with the family you were born into, and it has almost nothing to do with luck. The answer lies in the mind, in how a person thinks, in what a person believes, in the quiet, invisible decisions a person makes every single day without ever realizing those decisions are shaping their entire future. Today I want to share with you the real reasons why the vast majority of people never build wealth, not the reasons you have heard repeated 1,000 times. The deeper reasons, the ones that operate beneath the surface, silently, relentlessly, year after year. And more importantly, I want to show you exactly how to overcome each one of them. What I am about to explain has the power to change the entire direction of your financial life, but only if you stay with me until the very end. Because the most important lesson comes last, and it is the one that almost no one ever hears explained properly. Let us begin. The first reason most people never become wealthy is deceptively simple, and yet it is the foundation upon which every other failure is built. They never truly decide to become wealthy. Now, you may hear that and think it sounds too obvious. Surely everyone wants to be wealthy. Surely no one chooses to struggle. But I want you to understand something very carefully. There is an enormous difference between wanting wealth and deciding upon it. Wanting is passive. It is a wish floating in the back of your mind, never urgent, never specific, never demanding anything of you. A decision is something else entirely. A decision is a line drawn in the earth from which you refuse to retreat. I have watched thousands of people over the course of my career, and I can tell you with absolute certainty that the men and women who build great fortunes all share one thing in common. At some point in their lives, they made a decision so firm, so clear, so absolute, that it changed the way they moved through the world. They did not merely hope for wealth. They demanded it of themselves. They said, "This is what I will do. I will find a way or I will make one, and I will not stop until it is done." Most people never have that moment. They drift, they hope, they wait for conditions to improve, for the right opportunity to appear, for someone to show them the way. They say, "Someday I will get serious about my finances." But someday is not a date. Someday is a gentle way of saying never. Think about your own life for a moment. Have you made a true decision about your financial future? Not a wish, not a preference, a decision. Something so specific you could write it on a single piece of paper and read it back to yourself without hesitation. If you cannot do that, then you have discovered the very first reason wealth has not yet found you. Everything I will share with you today depends on this. Make the decision first. Make it specific. Make it today. Because without it, nothing that follows will matter. The second reason most people never build lasting wealth is far more dangerous than the first because it hides in a place most people never think to look. It hides inside their own beliefs. What I discovered after years of research is that most people carry invisible ideas about money that silently destroy every opportunity they encounter. And the most troubling part is this: they do not even know these ideas exist. Think carefully about what you were taught about money as a child. Not what someone sat you down and formally taught you, what you absorbed, what you overheard, what you felt in the room when money was discussed. Many people grew up hearing that money is the root of evil, that wealthy people are dishonest, that wanting money makes you greedy, that people who pursue wealth are somehow less virtuous than those who do not. These ideas may seem harmless, but I assure you they are among the most destructive forces in a person's financial life. Here is why. Your mind will never allow you to become something it believes is wrong. If somewhere deep within you there lives a belief that wealth is corrupt, that rich people are bad, that money changes people for the worse, then your own mind will work against you every single day. It will sabotage your efforts without you even realizing it. It will cause you to spend when you should save. It will cause you to hesitate when you should act. It will cause you to push away the very thing you say you want. This is why you see people who earn good incomes yet never accumulate anything. This is why some people receive a windfall and within a few years are worse off than before. The money came in, but the beliefs had not changed, and beliefs always win in the end. So I want you to do something important. Examine your deepest feelings about money, not what you tell others, what you tell yourself in private. Pay attention to how you react when you see someone living in abundance. Pay attention to the thoughts that arise when someone shares their success with you. Those reactions are a mirror, and they will show you the truth about your relationship with wealth. Once you see these beliefs clearly, you can begin to replace them. You can begin to tell yourself a different truth. That money is a tool, not a measure of character. That wealth gives you choices, freedom, and the ability to serve others at a higher level. That you deserve to be well compensated for the value you bring to the world. Repeat these truths to yourself daily until they become part of the very fabric of your thinking, because the beliefs you hold about money are the invisible ceiling above your financial life. Raise the ceiling, and everything beneath it rises with it. But changing your beliefs, as powerful as that is, leads us to something even more critical, because even those who think well of money often fall into a trap that keeps them working until the very end of their lives. The third reason most people never achieve wealth is that they spend their entire lives working for money and never once learn to make money work for them. This distinction may sound simple, but I want you to understand that it is perhaps the single most important financial principle a person can ever grasp. When you work for money, you are trading something you can never get back, your time and your energy, for something that is spent the moment it arrives. You earn, you spend, you earn again. The cycle never ends. And after 30 or 40 years of this, most people find themselves exhausted, with very little to show for a lifetime of effort. That is not a financial plan. That is a treadmill. But the men and women who build real, lasting wealth think about money in an entirely different way. They understand that every dollar is a small worker, and if you send that worker out into the world wisely, it will bring back more workers, and those workers will bring back still more. Over time, this quiet army grows so large that it produces more than you could ever earn with your own two hands. That is the principle behind every great fortune ever built. The practical application of this is straightforward. Pay yourself first. Before you pay the landlord, before you pay the grocer, before you pay anyone else, set aside a portion of everything you earn. 10% is a powerful starting place. If that feels beyond your reach today, begin with 5. Begin with whatever you can. The amount matters far less than the discipline. Because once you build the habit of paying yourself first, you begin to see money not as something to spend, but as something to deploy. And that shift in perception is worth more than any raise or promotion you will ever receive. Most people do the opposite. They pay everyone else first. They spend first and hope something will be left over. And of course, nothing ever is. This is not because they earn too little. I have seen people earning modest wages build real wealth over time simply because they understood this one principle. And I have seen people earning enormous salaries end up with nothing because they never learned it. Make money your servant, not your master. That is the dividing line between those who build wealth and those who spend their lives chasing it. Now, what I have shared so far may seem logical, even obvious. And that brings us directly to the fourth reason most people remain poor, and it may be the most frustrating of them all. They know what to do, and they do not do it. This is one of the great tragedies I have witnessed throughout my years of study. Knowledge by itself is not power. Knowledge is only potential power. It becomes real power only when it is organized and directed through action. You can read every book ever written about wealth. You can memorize every principle. You can recite them from memory. But if you do not act upon what you know, you are no better off than the person who never learned them at all. The gap between knowing and doing is where the dreams of millions go quietly to die. And the force that holds people in that gap has a name: fear. Fear of failure, fear of ridicule, fear of losing what little they already have, fear of stepping beyond the familiar boundaries of their present life. Let me tell you something about fear that I wish someone had told me much earlier. Fear never disappears. Not for the beginner and not for the master. The difference between wealthy people and everyone else is not the absence of fear. It is the willingness to act in spite of it. Every successful person I have ever studied felt fear. They simply refused to let it make their decisions. Think about a moment in your own life when you were afraid to do something and you did it anyway. What happened to the fear? It shrank. It lost its grip on you. That is always what happens. Fear is loudest just before you take action. The moment you move, it begins to dissolve. So I say to you, stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting for the fear to pass. It will not pass. It will sit with you for as long as you let it. But the moment you take one step forward, one concrete action toward your goal, you will feel something shift inside you. And that shift is the beginning of everything. The fifth reason most people never build wealth cuts even deeper than fear, because it involves something most people never think to question. It is the influence of the people around them. I have long observed that a person's thinking is shaped far more by their surroundings than by their intentions. You may have the greatest ambition in the world, but if you spend your days among people who think small, who complain about circumstances, who believe that wealth is reserved for the fortunate few, their way of thinking will slowly become yours, not because you are weak, because that is how the human mind works. We absorb the attitudes, the expectations, and the limitations of those closest to us, often without realizing it. If the people you spend the most time with have accepted mediocrity, you will find yourself accepting it too. If they believe the system is stacked against them, you will begin to see evidence of that everywhere you look. If they mock ambition or distrust success, you will find your own ambition quietly shrinking until it barely resembles what it once was. But the opposite is equally true. When you place yourself among people who are building, who are striving, who refuse to settle for less than what they are capable of, something remarkable begins to happen. Your own standards rise. Your thinking expands. Possibilities you never considered begin to appear before you, not because the world has changed, because your mind has changed. You do not need to abandon anyone, but you must become far more intentional about the voices you allow to influence your thinking. Seek out the company of those who challenge you. Read the words of those who have achieved what you wish to achieve. Find communities of people who are moving in the direction you want to go, because your environment is not a small factor in your success. It may very well be the deciding factor. Now, the sixth reason is one I feel compelled to address directly, because I have watched it quietly destroy the financial lives of more people than almost any other mistake. And in today's world, it is more dangerous than ever. Most people never become wealthy because they exhaust themselves trying to appear wealthy. They confuse the symbols of success with success itself. They purchase fine automobiles they cannot truly afford. They wear clothing designed to impress people they will never see again. They take on debt to maintain an image that has no foundation beneath it. And here is the great irony. The people they are trying to impress rarely notice. And the people who have actually built wealth, they often live with a simplicity that would surprise you, because they understand a truth that the majority never grasp. Wealth is not measured by what you spend. Wealth is measured by what you keep. Every dollar spent on appearance is a dollar that will never work for you. Every payment made to impress others is a payment stolen from your own future. I am not suggesting you should live without any enjoyment. Far from it. But I am telling you that enjoyment should come after the foundation is built, not before. Plant the seed first. Tend to it. Let it grow roots. Then, in time, you will enjoy fruit that lasts. Most people want to eat the harvest before they have even cleared the field, and that is why they go hungry. The seventh reason most people never accumulate wealth is one that pains me greatly, because it is entirely unnecessary. They give up too soon, far too soon. I have seen this pattern repeat itself so many times that I could describe it with my eyes closed. A person discovers a sound opportunity. They begin with enthusiasm. They work at it for weeks, perhaps months. And when the results do not come as quickly as they expected, they abandon the effort and chase something new. Then the cycle begins again. New excitement, brief effort, disappointment, abandonment, over and over, year after year, never staying with anything long enough to see it bear fruit. But wealth does not come like a sudden flash of lightning. It comes like the slow, steady growth of a mighty oak. For a long time, nothing visible happens. The work goes on, the investment compounds, the knowledge deepens, and then, seemingly without warning, a breakthrough occurs. But it did not truly happen without warning. It was being prepared all along, beneath the surface, where no one could see it. I want you to picture a man pumping water from an old well. He pumps and pumps and pumps, and nothing comes out. He begins to wonder if there is any water down there at all. He considers stopping, and just as he is about to give up, the water comes rushing forth. Now, was it that final pump that brought the water? No, it was every pump before it combined. But if he had stopped one pump too soon, he would have walked away, believing the well was dry. That is exactly how wealth works. And I can tell you with certainty that more people fail from quitting too early than from any other cause. If your plan is sound, if your effort is genuine, do not let temporary disappointment convince you to walk away. Stay with it. Stay longer than feels comfortable. Because the breakthrough you are hoping for may be closer than you can possibly imagine. The eighth reason deserves to be spoken plainly, even though it is something most people would rather not hear. Most people never become wealthy because they never increase their value to the world. Here is a truth that governs the flow of all money. You are not compensated for the hours you put in. You are compensated for the value you bring. And value is determined by what you know, what you can do, and how difficult it would be to replace you. If you perform work that almost anyone could be trained to do in a few days, you will never be paid well for it. Not because the work lacks dignity. Every honest work has dignity. But because the marketplace rewards scarcity, skill, and the ability to solve problems that others cannot solve. This means that one of the wisest investments you will ever make is the investment you make in yourself. Every new skill you develop, every new area of knowledge you master, every new capability you add to your mind increases your value. And as your value increases, your income inevitably follows. This is not theory. This is law. It operates as reliably as gravity. I want you to consider how you spend your evenings, how you spend the hours that belong entirely to you. Are you using them to grow, to learn, to prepare yourself for the opportunities that are coming? Or are you using them simply to be entertained, to pass the time, to arrive at tomorrow no more capable than you were today? I do not say this to judge you. I say this because I have seen what happens to people who invest even 1 hour a day in their own development. Over the course of 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, they become entirely different people. They become the kind of people to whom opportunities are naturally attracted. They become the kind of people who can command whatever compensation they choose. And they become the kind of people who no longer worry about money because they have made themselves so valuable that money finds them. Now, everything I have shared with you so far points toward one final truth. And I want you to pay very close attention to what I am about to say, because this is the reason behind all of the other reasons. This is the invisible force that determines more than anything else whether a person will build wealth or spend their life struggling. The ninth and most important reason most people never become wealthy is that they move through life without a definite purpose. They have no clear, specific, compelling vision of what they want. They wake in the morning, go about their duties, return home, rest, and repeat. Day follows day, year follows year. And before they realize it, decades have passed, and they are no closer to financial freedom than the day they started. Not because they did not work hard, but because they were working without direction. A person without a definite purpose is like a ship without a rudder. The wind pushes it one direction, then another. It travels great distances, but never arrives anywhere. It is busy. Always busy, but never productive in any meaningful sense. That is how most people live their financial lives. They are in constant motion, but have no destination. But when a person discovers their definite purpose, when they decide with absolute clarity what they want, how much they want, and when they want it, everything changes. Decisions become simple, because every choice can be measured against one question. Does this move me closer to my purpose or further away? Distractions lose their power because the pull of the purpose is stronger. Obstacles become temporary inconveniences rather than permanent barriers, and the energy that was once scattered across 100 directions becomes focused like light through a lens, concentrated and powerful enough to burn through anything in its path. So let me ask you something, and I want you to answer with complete honesty. What is your definite purpose? Not a vague wish, not a comfortable hope, a purpose so specific that you could write it in a single sentence. How much wealth do you intend to build? By what date? What exactly are you prepared to give in return? What is your plan? If you cannot answer those questions clearly, then you have found the deepest reason why wealth has remained beyond your reach. You have been trying to hit a target you have never clearly defined. Write it down. Tonight. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Tonight. Place it where you will see it when you rise in the morning and again before you close your eyes at night. Read it aloud to yourself. Read it until the words are no longer on the paper, but inside you. Let your purpose become so much a part of you that it shapes every thought, every action, every decision. Because the men and women who build extraordinary wealth are not simply people who want more. They are people who have been seized by a purpose so powerful that nothing in the world can turn them away from it. Now, before I close, I want to address something that lies beneath all 9 of these reasons, something I have observed in nearly every person who failed to build wealth, despite having every ability to do so. They did not believe it was truly possible for them, not on the surface. On the surface, they wanted it. They spoke about it. They thought about it. But deep within, in the private chambers of their own mind, they did not believe that someone like them could actually achieve it. They believed wealth was possible for others, for the fortunate, for the gifted, for those born into the right circumstances, but not for them, not with their background, not with their limitations, not after so many years of struggle. And that belief, quiet as it was, ruled their entire life, because the mind will always find a way to prove itself right. If you believe you cannot succeed, your mind will find evidence to support that belief everywhere it looks. It will magnify every obstacle. It will minimize every opportunity. It will remind you of every past failure and whisper that the future will be no different. But I want you to understand something that I have proven beyond any shadow of doubt through a lifetime of study. The opposite is equally true. When you begin to believe genuinely and deeply that you are capable of building wealth, your mind begins to work for you rather than against you. It starts to notice opportunities that were always there but hidden from your sight. It finds solutions where before it only saw problems. It gives you the courage to act where before it only offered reasons to wait. Your beliefs are not merely thoughts. They are instructions you give to the most powerful instrument in the known world, your own mind. Change the instructions and you will change the results. It is as certain as the rising of the sun. I have studied the lives of the most successful people across every field of endeavor. And I can tell you without hesitation that the difference between those who succeed and those who do not is never circumstance. It is never starting conditions. It is never luck. The difference is always found in what a person believes, what a person decides, and what a person does consistently, persistently, day after day, long after the excitement has faded and only discipline remains. You possess the same mind, the same potential, the same capacity for decision and action as any person who has ever built a fortune. The principles do not care about your past. They do not care about your age. They do not care where you come from. They care only about whether you use them. 95 out of every 100 people who hear what I have shared today will do nothing with it. They will feel a spark of inspiration. They will agree with every word. And then they will return to the same patterns, the same thinking, the same habits that brought them to where they are now. Months will pass. Years will pass. And they will still be waiting for something to change. But 5 out of every 100 will hear these words differently. They will not merely listen. They will decide. They will examine their beliefs and replace the ones that no longer serve them. They will pay themselves first, starting today. They will act in spite of their fear. They will choose their influences with care. They will stop performing wealth and start building it. They will persist when everything inside them begs to quit. They will invest in their own growth. They will define their purpose with absolute clarity, and they will believe against every doubt that the life they want is not only possible but inevitable. You are standing at that very crossroads right now. Not tomorrow, not someday. Right now, in this moment. And the direction you choose will shape everything that follows. The principles I have given you today are not new. They are as old as civilization itself. They have always worked. They will always work. The only question that remains is whether you will be among the 5 who use them or the 95 who simply heard them. Do not wait for a better time. There is no better time. Begin where you are. Begin with what you have. Take one step today, however small, and then another tomorrow. Because the distance between the life you have and the life you want is not measured in years. It is measured in decisions. And the most important decision you will ever make is the one you make right now. If this lesson helped you, subscribe to Napoleon Mindset for more timeless principles of success and wealth.